Chapter 16. The Truth Comes Out. It was dusk, and Chomper still didn't know where Ruby was. He and the real Magnificent were hunkered down under a cluster of trees and brush, which, lucky for them, was good, for Nicky had the anti-gang scour the land for whom he thought Rodney was. Pacing back and forth, Chomper felt in his gut that something was wrong. I hope Ruby is okay. She still hasn't come back, which isn't like her.
Ricky, we haven't time to wait. You must go and challenge your brother as leader of Sanctuary.
I'm not much of a fighter. Besides, once Ruby returns, she'll be able to take him on. After all, she has more skills when it comes to fighting than I do. In fact, I do my absolute best to avoid conflict.
But, Ricky, if you don't step in, your brother won't stop.
Stop what? Chomper asked, stopping to sit by the older male, who fidgeted with his hands.
Ricky, your brother has done something terrible. You see, since you left, he's kept me concealed, pretended to be me. Not only that, but he and his anti-gang have been carrying out an act of horror.
Besides having multiple mates?
Far worse, he's been killing eggs of Sharptooth.
Chomper gasped and lowered his gaze, unable to believe Nicky was behind the slaughtering of mothers and their eggs. At first, Chomper thought Nicky was only interested in ruling the sanctuary, which seemed harmless enough. But from what Magnificent told him, Nicky needed to be stopped, and with Ruby not around, it might be Chomper who would have to face Nicky. I don't understand how he can live with himself.
Nicky always hated Sharptooth. Was so young when Sharptooth killed his mother and siblings. It was my fault too. I was too hard on him, too harsh. If anything, I deserve to be hidden.
Then his wrinkled face looked at Chomper.
I'm just glad my favorite son has returned at long last.
Favorite? I don't think I could ever choose which child I liked more, Chomper admitted.
Well, Ricky, when you weren't flirting or fooling around, you had traits of a good leader, but Nicky, he was too concerned with being right or being noticed. I tried all I could to help him. Now I leave it up to you.
Ruby isn't here yet, so I guess I don't have much of a choice. I'm going to have to face Nicky. With Ruby not there, Chomper felt a bit lost, like when he and Ruby were separated for all those years. It wasn't as though Chomper couldn't think for himself or make decisions, though they wouldn't be as rational as Ruby's. Still, he tried. It was rather Chomper didn't want that responsibility, 'cause growing up in the Great Valley, Littlefoot was their leader. When it was just he and Ruby, he always looked to her for advice, his star in the night, the light that guided him.
Son, are you ready for this?
No, Chomper responded. With head held high, Chomper looked to where Nicky's rock was, heading in the direction. All the while there was a pit in his stomach, the same he felt before facing Redclaw, the same he had when he confronted anyone. Keeping low and out of sight, Chomper wanted to make a scene, knew Ricky couldn't refuse a challenge with the herd of Sanctuary as witnesses. It was morning, Chomper helping Magnificent along, waiting for the perfect time to make his presence known. Nicky stood on his rock, waving to the herd, who cheered for him. So, has anyone seen Rodney? There was dead silence, Nicky snorting in frustration. Honestly, how hard can it be to find one stupid fast runner, especially one as dim-witted as Rodney? Right behind you, Magnificent, or should I say, Nicky? Chomper said, the onlookers gasping at the statement. Liar! I'm Magnificent. No, you're not. This is the real Magnificent. Beside Chomper was Magnificent, who stood as tall as his older body would allow him. I just want to know, why? Why pretend to be your father? Doesn't anyone want to know what happened to Nicky? They know better than to question me. Yeah, because you'll banish them. A true leader must look past the individual, must see that the herd under them are more than mere followers. They are the support, the true reason you're safe from Sharptooth. There is strength in numbers, but when the herd don't fully trust the leader, then that's an issue. You, Nicky, were never meant to lead or rule Sanctuary. Oh, and you think you could do a better job? No, but I know someone who could. A long-neck named Littlefoot. He's my big brother, the leader over the Great Valley." Chomper made sure to say the last part loudest. "So if you're tired of being afraid of what Nicky will do to you, follow me. I can lead you all to a better place, to the Great Valley, where you won't have to keep your head down." Chomper stepped down off the rock, walking through the herd, seeing them part to make a path for him. Magnificent too turned away from Nicky, catching up with Chomper. Slowly, one member of Sanctuary followed, being one of Chomper's newest friends. Nicky's assured smile changed to worry as he saw one after another leave, the group viewing Chomper as their savior and guide to a better place. "You lowlife, you can't just step in here and take my herd! Besides, don't you want to know what happened to Trudy?" That's where Nicky knew he had Rodney right where he wanted him, for Chomper stopped dead in his tracks, turning and pushing back through to get closer to Nicky. By the time Chomper got to the rock, Nicky was there, holding a spear in hand, the very spear that belonged to Ruby, for her scent wafted from it. "Where is she?" "She was really something else. In fact, I was planning to kill you and take her as one of my mates. I did give her a choice, me or death." Chomper swallowed hard. "No, she beat you. That's what it is. She'll come back." "I hate to tell you this, but she's not coming back." Nicky was unmoved as Chomper lowered his head, tears glistening in his eyes before rolling down his cheek. "You shouldn't even mourn her. She's been lying to you too. Her true name was Ruby, and she lives with that stupid Sharptooth, the one they call Chomper." Ironically, Nicky was talking to Chomper without even knowing it. On Chomper's end, he was devastated, dropping to his knees, wondering so many things. Ruby was a skilled fighter. How could it be true that she was dead? How would he tell her parents, or worse, how would he break the tragic news to Fang and Claw? "So, do you wish to stay and be loyal to me? Or I could kill you too for questioning me." "I challenge you." "I was hoping you'd say that." Nicky spun the spear between his hands, but he sure as cuss didn't know how to use it. Chomper managed to sweep it aside with his tail. Then he gut-punched Nicky, sending him backward to the earth with great force. "Sorry, I hope I didn't hurt you too badly." "Shut up! What kind of male apologizes for a fight?" "Do you give up then?" "Never!" Nicky leapt up and grabbed Chomper around the stomach, sending him to the earth. In a quick move, Chomper was able to spin and pin Nicky, glad he remembered the moves Jonathan taught him. With Nicky down, Chomper simply sat atop him, waiting till he tired himself out. As Nicky struggled and thrashed, Chomper looked down at him. "Do you accept me as your leader? If so, this doesn't have to get violent." "I won't lose my power to a wimp like you!" In a dirty move, Nicky grabbed a handful of dust and threw it into Chomper's face, allowing himself some time to grab a rock and hit Chomper in the head. The lights went out, and Chomper hit the earth, unmoved as he lay there. Every sound and all senses went unnoticed, for Chomper found his thoughts, his very consciousness going toward one place, the place between the world of the living and the dead. Not that it was a terrible thing, it would tell him whether Ruby was gone for good. Blackness, that's what surrounded him, Chomper being in his Sharptooth form once more. "Ruby!" he asked among the silence. There was no response, nothing, not even a sign of his deceased Sharptooth parents. Then again, the place felt a tad off, Chomper sensing something was amiss. He walked on among the dark, hearing the water trickle against each step he took. With a confused expression, he looked down to see his reflection, which wasn't what he expected. For the face gazing back at him was a darker version of himself, with red, sharp-toothed eyes and a blood-stained muzzle, the image of a real monster. "This isn't real." "Oh, but it is," whispered the demonic voice. "I'm the part of you that you've suppressed, the true Sharptooth that lives in you, and now is the perfect time to display your true powers." "What?" "It's time for me to take control, just as I did to help save Ruby from the pack of invading fastbiters. Without me, she would have died." Chomper recalled that well, being pushed so far, he let his dark, primal part of him take control, knowing it was what had to be done to protect Ruby. No, I won't use your help again, especially not against this leaf eater. It'd be unfair. Yes, this leaf eater who killed your wife, and if we don't act fast, will kill you too. Ruby is not dead, Chomper protested, still trying to convince himself she was alive, though it was getting harder and harder to do so. Yes, she is. Can't you feel it? You know it to be true. You know she's gone. Talking with yourself was one thing, and Chomper certainly had many times he had a complete conversation with his dark side. It wasn't the first and wouldn't be the last he'd see the part of himself that lay dormant, the part he so desperately hid from those he loved and cared for, even from Ruby. Come on, what do you think? All you've ever done is pretend to be gentle and kind. Even then, the leaf eater still loathed you. When we both know the strength, the power you possess, and have oppressed for years. Where did it get you? Here, alone, without the one you care for. Allow me to take it all away, to take all your suffering away. With a deep sigh, Chomper felt it, his mind giving in, his soul giving up. Then it happened. The very foundation seemed to move, the reflection splashing violently, Chomper feeling himself sink below the water, allowing his dark side to take control of his mortal form. As he sank, he thought about Ruby, hoped the monstrous side of him would make Nikki suffer. Least he'd get that satisfaction. Perhaps Chomper was a heartless killer after all, seeking some bit of revenge for the death of his wife. He certainly played the part, tried to act innocent, harmless, but under it all, he was a real killer, capable of more than he let on. It would be easy to let his kinder consciousness exist in the place beyond, giving up for good so he wouldn't have to deal with the consequences of Ruby being gone. All his troubles would be out of sight, leaving his thoughts to wander in the blissful past, where Ruby would always be. I've seen dark before, but not like this. This is cold. This is empty. This is numb. The life I knew is over. The lights are out. Hello, darkness. I'm ready to succumb. I follow you around. I always have. But you've gone to a place I cannot find. This grief has a gravity, it pulls me down. But a tiny voice whispers in my mind. You are lost, hope is gone. But you must go on and do the next right thing. Can there be a day beyond this night? I don't know anymore what is true. I can't find my direction, I'm all alone. The only star that guided me was you. How to rise from the floor when it's not you I'm rising for. Just do the next right thing. Take a step again. It is all that I can to do the next right thing. I won't look too far ahead. It's too much for me to take. But break down to this next breath, this next step, this next choice. is one that I can make. So I'll walk through this night, stumbling blindly toward the light, and do the next right thing. And with the dawn, what comes then, when it's clear that everything will never be the same again? So make the choice to hear that voice and do the next right thing. Yes, it would be difficult to tell the family Ruby was gone. It'd be even harder living on when he imagined them growing older together. But it would be harder to let his dark side roam freely, not knowing what sort of trouble he was causing. Chomper would choose life, but there was one problem. He was trapped in the dark place and was unable to break out.